Hi everyone, I'm Alicia Fiorletta, Senior Editor of Retail TouchPoints, and I have joining me right now Jodie Fox, who's the co-founder and Chief Creative Officer of Shoes of Prey. Jodie, thanks so much for taking the time.
Not at all, thank you for having me.
Well, we're here at the Nordstrom shoe department, a great place to be, at Garden State Plaza in New Jersey. And you guys have a really exciting opening happening, for your create your own shoe experience. We'll get into that, but before we go into the nitty-gritty of the customer experience, why don't you share a little bit more about the Shoes of Prey brand, what you guys are all about, a little bit about your history and your growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started back in October 2009, and we were the first people to offer women the chance to design their own shoes online. And of course there were amazing predecessors like Nike ID who allowed you to come in and take part in adjusting their designs. But this really gave women the chance to choose every element of the shoe. So that means we have 10 different heel heights you can choose from. We have different heel shapes, from whether it's a block heel, a stiletto heel, a wedge heel, or a flat shoe. We have more than 200 different materials that you can choose from. So really you can shape a whole lot of silhouettes as well. Whether it's a boot or a sandal, the choices are nearly endless, with trillions upon trillions of possible shoes that you can design with us. The idea itself came about with myself and my two co-founders, Mike Knapp and Michael Fox. And for me, it was actually not being able to find the right shoes. And when I say the right shoes, it was just, I would go shopping for shoes and I would love a particular shoe but think, I just wish that heel height was a bit higher, or I don't like that decoration, or if only it came in the color of. And as I was traveling, I found somebody I could commission shoe designs with. So I started making these shoes with this person, and my girlfriends, as they started to see these collections of shoes come out, were, where are these shoes coming from? And when I explained, they asked me to commission designs for them as well. But the thing is, I would never have thought to turn it into a business were it not for my two co-founders. And one was a software engineer at Google, and one was in the advertising sales section, but also had great retail operations experience. And they were so excited about online retail and just needed a great idea. And this Design Your Own Shoes was it. So that's how Shoes of Prey first came together.
No, that's great. And I know this is not the first installation of the Design Your Own Shoe experience. So how have consumers been responding, so far?
Yeah.
And, what was sort of the timeline, for expansion of the experience around the country?
Well, actually, we have stores globally as well. So the first store actually opened in January 2013 in Sydney, and that was also within a department store. And that was our first test of this idea. So it also came from the fact that we survey our customers every day. So we have an NPS scoring system, and it goes to customers who have interacted with the website, but not us, customers who have interacted with a customer happiness team person, and customers who have received their shoes, so we can understand their experience at each stage of the process. And the most overwhelming thing we heard was, what will my shoes look like in real life? Now, because we can make trillions of pairs of shoes, it's not in our business model to be able to make the shoes first and show you. So when we dug into that, the insight that we pulled out was they wanted to touch the leathers, try shoes on, and things like that. So that's why we came to this particular solution here. And that first store actually did double its forecasted revenue in the first 12 months. It became the highest performing store on that floor of that department store, and that department store is the flagship department store for that chain in Australia. And it was against brands like Nine West and Christian Louboutin and Jimmy Choo and all these sorts of things. So we saw great financial success out of it. But we also, that store actually won the World Retail Award in 2013 for the world's best store design, and that was against Karl Lagerfeld for his concept store in Paris, and also up against Puma for their flagship store in Osaka. So we saw this great creative and financial success out of that, and that's when we looked a little further afield, because the US market had been such a great market for us with the website Shoes of Prey, and we needed to bring that to life here as well. Our first choice of partner was absolutely Nordstrom. I mean, they have such a wonderful heritage of shoes. Absolutely. Yeah, and also too, they have the same, we have a very similar culture, and on top of that, they treat their customers and hold themselves to the same standards with customers as we do too. So for us, it was just the perfect match. So we were in contact, and then we flew over to have the discussions, and in November 20th last year is when we opened the first store with Nordstrom. That was in Bellevue in Washington, and the response was fantastic. So we've now got open Bellevue in Washington, San Francisco downtown, Fashion Island at Newport Beach, and this is store number 4 for the US here in New Jersey. So, and all of the stores have had anecdotally a beautiful response, but also financially performing above our forecasted average, so it's great.
No, it's great, and it's wonderful to hear that consumers are, are meeting that expectation, based on the success that you've seen online, because I know that, some brands who start out online and, decide to make that move to brick and mortar, they're kind of like, I'm not sure how our shoppers are going to respond. I'm not sure if we're targeting the right area. So it seems like, your hypothesis and your expectations about this move has been successful so far.
Totally. So and we did look to the data to support the decision to do this. So obviously we had the test store in Sydney that performed well, and we had a little bit of anecdotal evidence from that. But we also had data and analytics available to us on how our US market and which areas geographically were performing well too. And naturally Nordstrom has a lot of information about their customer as well that we were able to marry up to decide on locations and to talk about how the store would look, feel, the customer flow, and all of those sorts of things. So it's been a really great journey so far, and even things like bridging the experience of the online to offline through the iPad has been really important for us, so that it feels very seamless. It's about designing the shoe, not isn't this a website, or isn't this a it's not jarring because we've made this solution based on a problem our customers were having.
No, absolutely, and obviously mobile does play a role in the experience. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the step-by-step process that a consumer would have, and obviously the role that associates play, and what that timeline would kind of look like from initial creation in the store to when they have that shoe in their hand.
So there's a couple of different ways it can happen. Sometimes people come directly up to the store because of the attraction of the shoe flowers, or maybe they've heard of us before, or they've already got a pair of shoes from us and just want to see what other materials are there. There's also the opportunity, as you may have experienced yourself, that Nordstrom staff are have extraordinary relationships with their clients, and they get to know their style and all that sort of thing, so they can be really helpful when you're shopping in the store. And I've certainly found that for sure. Right. Sometimes too helpful for my credit card. So what we find is that sometimes an associate will be helping one of their clients, and they'll bring them over to Shoes of Prey because they know that this is going to fit what their client is looking for that day. And then we can work together as the people who are working at the Shoes of Prey stall, who bring that great technical knowledge of the shoe. So they have a really good in-depth knowledge of how they're going to put together a shoe for you. And the associate from Nordstrom has a really great knowledge of what this client's style is. Right. So for example, we might start off with something like, so tell me, heel height that you usually wear. And the customer might say, gosh, I don't know, I don't really think about that. And the associate from Nordstrom might say, well, actually the last 3 pairs of shoes you've bought have all been 3-inch heels, so why don't we start there? So we all really work together quite seamlessly to make sure the customer is getting out, exactly what they've been looking for on that particular trip to Nordstrom that day. So the way the experience then works once you're at Shoes of Prey is that you sit down at the table and you'll sit down at an iPad, and the iPad has the experience for you to be able to design your shoes on there and to dynamically render visuals of the shoe as you're designing it. So when you sit down, it's kind of my hope that you're attracted to the store, you look up and you get inspired by these sculptures of flowers. And we did that because we wanted people to realize that it wasn't an off-the-shelf experience, that this is a place for you to be creative. So you come and you sort of, you're sitting in this creative environment, there's slightly different lighting happening there as well. Across the back wall, we have shoes ranging through the rainbow colors, and we also have them in many different styles as well. So you can start to actually see in real life what some of those combinations might look like. Right. You're also given a set of swatches, so the leathers will spread out in front of you and you can touch and you can see what different textures and colours look like together as you're designing, and those associates will be there to help guide you through that process, answer any questions and get you to exactly the shoe you're going to love.
No, that's great.
Yeah, so once you finish that design, it then takes up to 3 weeks for the shoes to arrive to you, and most of the customers have been choosing to have them delivered to their home.
It's fantastic, and obviously the unveiling of this design your own shoe experience location is a big next step for Shoes of Prey. But is there anything else coming up that we should expect from you in 2015? Any goals that you want to share in terms of overall brand growth and company growth?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, this is a really exciting year for Shoes of Prey. When I think about our journey to date, so this is, we had our 5th birthday in October last year, and it seemed to be the moment that all of the strands of the business really came together. So, we had started our own manufacturing, and so we really had that in hand. We've always done our own technology in-house. The messaging and the way that we communicated about Shoes of Prey had become very succinct, and then we also had the stores were such a great success and one of our best customer acquisition channels, actually. So all of those strands came together, and all of a sudden things became clear, and I think that's a really exciting moment in a business, because you're constantly searching for, you start with an idea, but then you're searching for what's the hook, what's the next step to help to bring this further forward, and offline retail is it for us. So it's been a really special time in 2015 so far. In terms of the future, we have some great collaborations that we've been launching at the moment. So literally within the last couple of hours, it was Australian Fashion Week, has the first show happened, and a new set of shoes went down the runway for that, and they're beautiful. You'll have to think 1980s prom, and they're amazing. And we also just recently launched a capsule collection with Janie Bryant, the costume designer from Mad Men.
Oh, awesome.
We have that collaboration. We will have a couple of other capsules to launch later in the year. We do have some other products in the pipeline as well. So, of course, handbags are in the pipeline for us, and we hope to launch some other SKUs, probably looking further forward into a few years' time. In terms of our manufacturing, really excited about 3D printing. We've started test printing heels so that we can produce components on demand as well. And there's a lot of technology involved in each of these deliverables in the business as well. So all the parts of the business are really sort of stepping up another level through the second half of this year.
Oh, that's wonderful, Jodie. Well, thank you so much again for having us in the Nordstrom department store and walking us through the experience. It's really exciting to see how Shoes of Prey has grown and evolved and is embracing all these new technology and marketing and engagement trends. So thank you again so much for taking the time out to speak with me, and thanks everyone out there for watching.